What is up guys, Andy Forest Theme Runner here, and today we're going to be comparing the Brooks HYPERION Tempo to the Atreyu Standard Colorway. So as soon as I slipped my feet into the Atreyu and got a couple of runs done and dusted in this shoe, the first other running shoe that came to mind in terms of comparisons, like for like shoes, was the Brooks HYPERION Tempo. Today I want to go through with you guys the pros and cons of both of these shoes, and then at the end give you a summary and an overall thoughts as to which one maybe I would choose over the other one. So if you're excited for today's video guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. We'll start with the HYPERION Tempo. So just before we jump into the Brooks HYPERION Tempo, just very quickly, this is simply a pros and cons video. This is not a technical overview. If you're interested in either of these two shoes, if this video sparks any interest and you want to know more information about them, please feel free to head back onto the channel and search up the first impressions videos for both of these shoes. Full technical details will be covered in that video, but for today we're just covering the pros and cons of what I found since running in both these shoes, and then give you guys my overall thoughts at the end. And as I said, we'll start with the Brooks HYPERION Tempo. So the first thing I noticed when I put my foot into this shoe was the love for the simplicity of this thing. Despite the price tag, which is obviously £140, very pricey for a simplistic shoe, it was absolutely amazing. At the time when I wanted to buy this shoe, I needed something quite lightweight for my reps. I bought the New Balance Fresh Foam Tempo a couple of months before in the hopes that that was going to give me the lightweight shoe I wanted for my intervals, for my reps and for my speed work. Sadly, it was good. It was a good shoe, but it wasn't as light as this thing. It wasn't as light as I wanted it to be. In my UK size 13, getting a shoe under 10 ounces or 275, 76 grams is quite a challenge, but this thing managed it. And that's what I was looking in a speed shoe, and the New Balance Fresh Foam Tempo did not achieve. So this thing weighed in at about 9.8 ounces, 270 odd grams, and it fit the bill perfectly. I was looking for something simplistic in a world where technology is taking over shoes. Sometimes you just want a super lightweight, no frills upper with a good lacing system, simplistic midsole, and a nice lightweight rubber outsole. And that's exactly what this shoe gave me, and exactly why when I slipped the Atreyu on with that simplicity, it reminded me of this shoe. So the weight for me was such a massive positive in this shoe, and the comfort, the DNA Flash midsole has to be up there for one of the best midsoles of the year. I did actually do a midsoles of the year video halfway through the year, hadn't tried this thing yet. I really enjoyed the DNA Flash midsole, and I see that Brooks' new racing shoe, they released one, I can't for the life of me think what the name of it is now, but they released version 1 back earlier in the year, and everyone said how horrific it was. And version 2 is coming out in September with DNA Flash midsole and a carbon plate, which I think is going to be a bit of a game changer, because I think this midsole is really good, and I'm excited to see what some people think, and maybe I'll see if I can get my hands on a pair of those shoes. But that aside, this thing, simplicity was amazing, weight was absolutely amazing. So in terms of the pros, I got a great lockdown in the shoe. It provided good comfort in and around the ankle area, relatively good padding around here, but nothing too bulky, not what you need. And the tongue was really weirdly comfortable, and I explained this in the video. As you can see, I'll show you from the forefront, the front end, we've got very thin material here, but then just a centimetre down we've got some nice cushion padding, which then runs down the length of the tongue and supports across the top of your foot, so you get a really nice lockdown feel in the shoe. As I said, the only real con I had with this shoe was the price tag. £140 is very pricey for a simplistic shoe. Now, Brooks have been in the market for a long time. They've got every right to be charging whatever price they want to be charging, but I'd be more happy to see this shoe in and around the £110, £120 mark maximum. Overall though, I've got to say, that's the only con I found with this shoe. Moving swiftly on to the Atreyu, putting this thing on the scales, compared then to the Brooks Hyperion Tempo, which I said I was blown away with the weight. This thing blew everything away with the weight. 8 ounces, 220, oh gosh, 220 something grams in my UK size 13, US 14. So this is the lightest shoe that I have in my rotation. That straight away was a winner for me. As I said, the simplicity in the Hyperion Tempo is what won me over. And again with this shoe, even more stripped back, even more minimalistic. It just did the job perfectly. The first thing I noticed, as I said in my first impressions, a very firm midsole in the beginning, but that then literally broke in within a couple of miles. And then it became a lot more softer, molded to my foot nicely, and now I've got a really nice feel. I've got to be honest, between the two midsoles, this is slightly firmer, in my opinion, than the Brooks Hyperion Tempo. I actually found the Hyperion Tempo a good mixture between firm and soft. It kind of sat sweetly in the middle. I know a lot of you guys commented on my Hyperion Tempo video saying they found the midsole quite firm, and I don't know if that's the weight that I'm putting through, because I'm 86 kilos, I'm 6'6", I'm a lot taller than a lot of you younger whippersnappers, shorter people out there that are in around the 70 to 75 kilo mark. I don't know if because I'm putting more pressure through the shoe, it's a bit more softer and responsive for me, who knows, but I did find this midsole a little bit more firmer, and even though we've broken it in now, it still is slightly more firmer. That's not a detrimental thing, that's just simply I find the midsole firmer. And again, where this thing sheds some weight, which again I really like, is just that absolute minimalistic, no structure anywhere, no structure in the heel counter. Again, super lightweight upper, simplistic lacing system, no frills, just gets the job done. And for me personally, it works really, really well. Once I got the lockdown sorted after the first run, because I did leave the laces rather loose, and I did get a bit of a heel slippage issue in the beginning. But once we got that sorted, this has been an absolute gem. I've got just over 50 miles in the shoe now, and every run I take it in, it seems to excel and get better and better. I'm loving lightweight shoes, minimalistic, simple, everything that this thing can offer me. Super lightweight pros are going to be super lightweight upper, super lightweight lacing system, just everything there is great. There's just no frills. This whole upper section is absolutely brilliant. The midsole after breaking in is also great, and we've got no rubber outsole on here. Again, saving weight. So this thing is just doing everything right. And price point, completely the opposite end of the spectrum to the Brooks Hyperion Tempo. This thing, I ended up getting it, including shipping, back in the beginning with their Voyager discount code for $96. It came out about £76–77. It was absolutely mad. It's about half the price I paid for the Brooks Hyperion Tempo. So you've got to see there that in terms of price point, this thing absolutely smashes the Brooks Hyperion Tempo out of the park. In terms of the cons, I haven't really got any. I think durability is going to be the only con with this shoe, but then if I'm getting two of these shoes out of the same mileage that I'm going to be getting out the Hyperion Tempo, then that really doesn't become a factor for me. So on to the final conclusion, my overall thoughts on both these two shoes. Well, as you've gathered, I've loved the fact that both of these things have been super lightweight. You can see hopefully now why that these two, I've pitted them against each other, because they're so similar in so many different ways. I think the major thing, the major difference between these two is going to be durability and is going to be the price point. Now, Atreyu, who've come out and very kindly made a lot of comments on some of my videos, answering a lot of people's questions about the shoe, and I think one of the comments that they responded to was durability, and they said that they estimate that their shoes, you're going to get about 150 to 200 miles out of each pair of shoes, which is interesting. And for me, I will obviously get this thing up to 100 miles and we'll see how it feels after that distance. If you can get it to 200 and you're paying the low price of the $55 subscription fee that they're offering, then plus shipping, it is an absolute bargain. £140 on this thing. I don't know the durability on it. I'm going to estimate that this thing you can probably get a good 300–400 miles out on it. The DNA Flash midsole feels absolutely incredible after just 100 miles, or just over 100 miles on this thing, and this isn't going to be deteriorating anytime soon. So it really is a toss-up between whether you want multiple pairs for the same price, because I think they're going to average themselves out over the long term. So then it comes down to a couple of really minor factors, and that is simply that this thing is a little bit lighter than this thing. They're both about as responsive as each other. And really, there's no other con in either of these two shoes. As I said, I've got to be honest with you, I have loved every second in both of these shoes. And I think if you're going to split hairs, I'm going to give it to the Atreyu based on the fact the price point and the weight. The speed sessions in this shoe just are a tiny bit lighter, poppier, quicker because the shoe feels so minimalistic. But then I really am splitting hairs because this thing is absolutely incredible as well. So to be honest with you guys, it's a really tough call between the two, and I don't really want to give either one of them my my winning verdict, shall we say. As I said, if we're going to split hairs, it's going to be the Atreyu. But overall, these two things are very worthy winners in their categories. So that's it from me today, guys. I'd love to hear if you have either of these two shoes in your rotation and what you think of them. Have you pitted them against each other, and do you prefer one against the other? That's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, guys, please make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly random content, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Until then.